That goes there. Ah, hello everyone. Didn't see you there. I've been knee-deep in repairs all week, and by Prospero is Wraithbone difficult to work with, even with Psychogenes. Still, I think I'm getting close to getting things moving. Anyway, on to today's tale. We'll be covering a group of individuals who are perhaps the greatest representation of the Emperor as a god. In my opinion, they're like his demon princes, his greater demons, whatever you prefer. Displaying incredible faith in the Lord of Mankind and performing equally incredible feats, these heroes become legends after death and can even be returned to life. They are few in number, with only a handful of new members per millennia, and only appear when they are most needed. But when they come as angels of holy power, imbued with the Emperor's might and inspiring other Imperials to impossible victories. They are the Living Saints. My name is Michael for Tactica Imperialis, and welcome to 40k Stories. When the Ecclesiarchy and the Imperium at large goes to war, many warriors forge themselves legends within their force's own ranks or amongst the wider populace. However, there are times when the Ecclesiarchy can decide to take the veneration of this individual to a whole new level, and declare them to be heroes of the Adeptus Ministorum. To be worthy of this honour, which only happens on extremely rare occasions, the individual must show incredible faith in the Emperor. As a result, the Adeptus Sororitas are the most likely candidates for sainthood, as they receive power from the Emperor himself, such as the Shield of Faith. The sisters also serve as the militant arm of the Ecclesiarchy, and so will always be present when the cardinals or ecclesiarch feel like sainthood is worthy of being given out. However, that is not to say that one must be a sororitas to become a living saint, as there are confirmed instances of members of the Astra Militarum being declared as saints as well. Not Space Marines though, for their belief system is different to the rest of the Imperium. The only exceptions are the Loyalist Primarchs, who are assumedly posthumously awarded sainthood, as they do not count as living saints. Being declared a saint usually occurs after the death of the individual, as their piety and faith will often see them martyred by chaos or other forces. But the living saints have a party trick. They are resurrected after they die, returning to continue to fight in the Lord of Mankind's name, and it is believed that their revival is caused by the Emperor himself, such as their faith in him. They do not return with the same form as before, however, instead coming back with a portion of the Emperor's power within them. This grants the living saint an aura of holiness and terror, which it is depends on whether you believe in the Emperor or not, and the ability to conjure wings to fly on and deliver death from above. They also become near invulnerable in battle, and gain Psycho-like abilities that can unleash holy fire on any heretic, mutant, xeno, or warp entity. This is why, if you subscribe to the theory of the Emperor being some form of chaos god as I do, the living saints could be considered as imperial demon princes, and if you need more proof, then consider the immortality of the living saints. Should a saint be slain, the Ecclesiarchy can perform a very long and complicated ritual to re-resurrect them. Admittedly, this ritual can be interrupted, and the saint can be permanently killed, as in the case of Saint Gerstal of the Astra Militarum, whose remains were destroyed by Abaddon the Despoiler in the Third Black Crusade. It's not quite like the Avatar who we've covered before, or a normal demon for that matter, but there are parallels that those who see the Lord of Mankind as a Chaos God do so like to draw. As stated previously, the living saints are incredibly rare. Only a handful of new saints are anointed each millennium, assumedly because if it were much more common then they would lose that mystique and badassery? I don't know. Alternatively, it may be that the Ecclesiarchy does not have autonomy when it comes to declaring an individual a living saint. A single priest, cardinal, even the ecclesiarch cannot anoint a living saint alone. Rather, a conclave formed from members of both the Ecclesiarchy and the Inquisition must agree that the individual is worthy of sainthood. This means that no trace of corruption may be found within them, just hope you weren't banging on Karamazov there, and the reasons for their nomination as a saint must be well justified to the conclave. Given how nitpicky and distrusting the Inquisition is, it is perhaps therefore little surprise that so few worthy heroes become saints. I don't know what the actual percentages are, it would be interesting to see. The appearance of a saint-worthy individual is also very uncommon. Their holy power does not last for long. As I say, they end up getting martyred, a lot, and is mostly only apparent during crusades or wars of faith, variants of crusades organised by the Ecclesiarch and orchestrated primarily by the Ecclesiarchy. There are exceptions, individuals of great power or holiness that stick around for a while, but it's likely those individuals will be primarily the Astra Militarum saints who, as noted earlier, are far less common candidates for sainthood compared to the Sororitas. The living saints also, at least in some cases, have a sanguinor/Legion of the Damned-esque ability to not be around when a battle ends, seemingly disappearing without a trace. A bit more evidence for the demon theorem, perhaps? But their appearance on the battlefield is not confirmed to be via intervention or in advance, i.e. do they appear when they're needed most, or do they just turn up beforehand and do some rallying speeches? Honestly, don't know. So, that's the what, how, and why of the living saints. What about the fun stuff? The where, the when, the who? Time to tell the tales of a few famous saints. We shall begin with the most famous of all, at least on the Sororitas side, Saint Celestine. Her origins are unknown, perhaps suppressed by the Ecclesiarchy or Inquisition for some reason, but she is known to have served in the Order of Our Martyred Lady when she was a battle sister. She fell during an event known as the Palatine Crusade, dying on the planet of Eurytion before being resurrected after she was retrieved by her sisters. Celestine then returned to the field and conquered the planet at the head of the assault on the capital city in just a few hours. From there, she became the figurehead for the entire Palatine Crusade, leading the Imperium to victory after victory until the final assault on the capital world of the sector. At this time, she abandoned the Crusade to journey to a backwater world in the middle of nowhere called Sanctus Lys, home to a shrine visited by St. Catherine, bodyguard to Alicia Dominica, and patron saint of the Order of Our Martyred Lady. She is actually said Martyred Lady, for the record. Celestine went to the shrine, entered it alone, and came out the morning after. She wore the armour of St. Catherine, a golden suit of power armour left by the Martyred Lady on Sanctus Lys, along with the Ardent Blade, a sword which also works as a flamethrower, because reasons. At this point, with the power of the Emperor radiating from her, she was finally awarded sainthood, and led the Sororitas to victory across multiple wars of faith, with a 5-figure kill count all on her own. At this point, the timeline gets a tiny bit hazy. It is confirmed that Celestine appeared to aid the Order of the Ebon Chalice in slaying a demon prince of the Black Legion before doing that classic disappearing act. It is also confirmed that she was defeated and slain in a nuclear explosion on the world of Thorax. What is unclear is the order of these events. If Thorax happened first, then it confirms the immortality of the living saints. No one is known to perform a resurrection ritual, so it would definitely have to be pinned on the Emperor. But if her death was more recent, then Celestine is probably gone forever, with her remains obliterated by the miles-wide blast radius of that nuke. If the latter is the case, then her sisters can at least take comfort that she is now at the Emperor's side, which is possibly where she truly belongs. Our next saint is very different to Celestine, for a number of reasons. He was drawn from the ranks of the Astra Militarum, and sadly for the Imperium, he wasn't resurrected after his death. However, his legend is perhaps even greater than any within the Sororitas or the Imperial Guard, for this man was the greatest military commander that humanity ever produced, not counting Astartes. War Master in all but title due to the negative connotations, he was known as Lord Solar Macarius. Yeah, this guy is actually a saint. I didn't know it either. A mighty general by the age of 20, Macarius was found by the previous Lord Solar, known as Phillips, who named him as his successor and took him under his wing. Macarius then launched the largest crusade since the actual Great Crusade, led by the Emperor when he inherited the title, and he actually pulled it off as well. The Mccarran Crusade, as it was known, conquered around 1,000 worlds in the western regions of the galaxy over the course of 7 years, which is a world like every 2 or 3 days when you break it down, and could have conquered 1,000 more if Macarius had had his way. Sadly, after the conquering of Ultima Macaria, the generals who commanded the other armies in the crusade, there were 7 battle groups, one of which was led by Macarius himself, pleaded with their lord to stop. The crusade was about to pass through the halo stars, and beyond them lay unknown regions. Navigators would struggle, and the crusade would be cut off from the Imperium as it passed out of astropathic range. On top of that, The troops believed that ghosts haunted the stars and were exhausted from the constant fighting. The Lord Solar was livid, accusing his men of cowardice, and even going so far as to accuse them of betrayal. But, after a lot of drinking in his quarters, Macarius reluctantly gave the order to return to the Imperium, but he died on the way back. The official story states that he succumbed to jungle fever, but the truth is, Macarius was assassinated by an Assassinorium agent for an unknown reason. He was ill, though it was in fact plagues of Nurgle as opposed to quote-unquote jungle fever, after defeating the former general, Richter. With his death, Macarius was posthumously awarded sainthood, and his homeworld of Donia was renamed Macaria and converted to a shrine world in his honour. As if to rub salt in the Imperium's wound, the same generals that had told Macarius to turn around then warred among each other, carving up the 1,000-ish worlds into their own empires that didn't answer to the Adeptus Terra, in a war known as the Macarian Heresy. Most of these worlds were returned to the Imperium again over a 70-year crusade, led by War Master Solon, Macarius' successor, which shows just how incredible a feat Macarius managed to pull off to conquer them all in a tenth of the time. Should you wish to learn more of the Mccarran Crusade and Macarius' eventual death, there is an entire novel series dedicated to it that I highly recommend you read. The final saint we shall cover here is actually not a Sororitas or a member of the Astra Militarum, as she lived hundreds of years before the Sororitas were even created in M36. She is so legendary, she has an entire set of star systems named after her. They are the Sabbat worlds, and she is Saint Sabbat. Born on the world of Hargia in 500 M35 to a shepherd, Sabbat seemingly had an uneventful/regular childhood. This all changed when at an unknown age she received a vision from the Emperor, telling her to go forth and unite humanity against chaos, liberating them in a crusade alongside the Imperium, who had only established a small foothold in the region at the time. It took her 105 years, assumedly the Emperor was prolonging her life in some way to ensure the crusade got done, but she conquered the entire sector that would become known as the Sabbat Worlds, covering over 100 star systems. At her side was the great strategist Chiodrus, who went on to become a saint in his own right, though his name is definitely less known than Sabbat, and it was remarked by Inquisitor Eisenhorn that he had been seemingly forgotten compared to other saints. Saint Sabbat, as she may have been known at the time, her ascension to sainthood isn't dated to be before or after her death, was finally killed on the world of Harkalon, martyred after suffering the 9 holy wounds. Don't know what they are, I'm afraid, no data in the archives. She was recovered by the white scars accompanying her crusade, one of many chapters doing so, and returned to her homeworld of Hargia to be buried. She was then supposedly reincarnated, note, not resurrected, reincarnated, in M41 as a Hargian girl who inspired Imperial troops to victory on the world of Herodor before joining up to a larger crusade. Whether this was actually Sabbat or another potential saint who just happened to come from Sabbat's homeworld is unconfirmed, but if it is the former, then it somewhat clashes with the other tales of the living saints. The Sabbat worlds have changed hands more than once, and a mighty crusade is ongoing to liberate them for the Imperium once more. So end the tales of the living saints, at least for now. They will likely carve out more legends as the Imperium continues to wage war, and on rare occasions one may be considered worthy to join their number. But for now, I need to get this ship's drive running. Where did I put that psycho spanner? There we go. Now for some concussive maintenance on the command console. Well, heck, it worked! So, right, okay, let's get moving. I have a very special place in mind, though I'm afraid we'll have to run the warp to get there. Right, let's set ourselves a course. Damn, I'm glad I learned how to read Eldar when researching the Phoenix Lords. There, destination locked. We're off to Macarius. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Join us next time as we cover a Legion Astartes for the first time. My name is Michael for Tactica Imperialis, and I'll see you all again. Goodbye.